Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele and I will be your nerd today and every other day that you watch one of my goofy things. All right, let's start it off quick. I want to get over to where I'm getting. Um, Gaming has been good. Been playing. I finally got all of my uh, components separated and bagged and sorted and whatnot for my Mighty Morphin Power Rangers board game, the Heroes of the Heroes of the Shattered Grid, that kind of thing. That game. Finally got all that stuff squared away. Been playing a cool VR game with the family called Puppet Fever, where one person is in the VR rig does a puppeteering, and then on your cell phone you see the puppet show, and have to guess what it is, and you only have so many times. It's like puppet show charades with VR. It's cool. I'm having a good time. Um, let's see. Uh, Played some Necromunda video game with with one of my besties last night. Um, we it was the first time that we made gangs of our own and played a game where there were actually stakes. Like if our people get injured, they could die, that kind of thing. And it looked like we were going to get hosed, but we ended up pulling it out at the end and winning. It was two of us versus two other teams, and we ended up pulling out at the end, getting a bunch of loot. Two of my team members did get injuries that they will have for the rest of their lives. But it was fun. We're actually talking about hopefully sometime this weekend doing it again, because that'll be a lot of fun too. Played played some D&D last weekend with my capoeira monk, and at this point, I can inflict some pretty significant damage. I had one bad set of rolls that made me a pretty easy target for everybody for a turn. But overall, I can move around the battlefield pretty quickly, and when it's time for me to lay down the law, I was blowing skeletons up left and right, and actually got to do the final hit on some kind of grave robbing witch monster thing. We ended the session right after the combat, so we haven't had a chance to do any research. But that was cool. Let's see what else. Finally beat my son at HeroClix. His luck has been very good, and my luck has been very bad. The last couple times we played, but we played once over this weekend, and I took an all White Lantern Corps army versus his Ravagers army, and because I got a couple of really solid hits in at opportune moments, I turned the tides and I ended up winning the game. And he made a comment about, he's like, "Well, great way to beat me. Now I never want to play again." And I kind of poked him, and I was like, "You're not that kind of gamer. Don't you rage quit just because your dad got lucky once." So that was cool. That was fun. And work has been great. Officially got words down on the page for the new Shadowrun novel, because the outline has came back as greenlit. So all the cool stuff I get to do, that I was like, I don't know whether or not they're going to let me do it. They're going to let me do it. So that's going to be a lot of fun. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game, that main book, our part of it is coming to, getting pretty close to our part being done, and then it goes into editing and art and layout and printing and all that stuff. So I mean, like, it's still a ways from being on the shelves, but we at least, our part of it will be done and ready to, in the can and ready to move on to the next thing. So that's really rad. And the card game that I sold last year, that's headed to Kickstarter, I just got some cool preview images of what some of the cards that Chris is getting made for Curse and Empire. dudes and dudettes and everything in between. When that goes live, I'm gonna plaster that Kickstarter to you guys because the art looks great, the card layouts look good, and obviously I think the game is good. I made it, but it's I think that it's going to be a nice feather in the cap for Spartans Unleashed because that's the company who makes it. Because they're going to use that as a cool springboard into their third edition of the role playing game, and that I think that the card game is going to do solid. It's going to do solid. It's going to do decent enough numbers because it is a solid game and it's pretty. That there might be people that specifically want to buy it because it is pretty. And then once they start playing, they'll be like, okay, never mind, this is a cool game in and of itself. So there's that, and then finished up some Death Guard commissions, and I'm about ready to get a new commission from that same client. He's called like Vex Monitor or Vex Molitor or something. It's this giant chaos beast with almost like an evil tech marine on the back. I'm going to get to put together and paint that. That's going to be rad too. I'm excited there. So yeah, it's basically good stuff all around when it comes to work stuff. Just solid. In fact, this last weekend was Renegade Con, the Renegade Games company, the ones who've hired me to do the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game. Also went ahead and announced that the game system that we're designing for it is going to be compatible with the Transformers and G.I. Joe and potentially other licenses in the future. So yeah, Scott, the owner of the company, officially told everybody that we're designing this system, these three game systems, together as like one giant team because eventually we're hoping that players will combine the ideas so they all get to play what they want to play at the table. It's kind of this collective sort of sci-fi action, over the top action sci-fi feel. I'm psyched, I think, and now having had a couple of meetings talking about how that connection is gonna work, it's really, really coming together, and so I can't wait for us to be able to do an open boxing of the of that book to kind of show you this cool new system, and then maybe hear back in the comments and stuff about what all you guys are doing with it. I'm excited, and in fact, some of that excitement is what drew me to do what I'm doing today. So today we're gonna hope the hobby rig works over there, but we are going to see if I can't get the majority of Arcee, our friendly neighborhood leggy Autobahn lass. We're gonna see if we can't get her painted up. So that should be super fun. But it also gives me an opportunity to kind of show you guys how I do a lot of light colors. Because light colors tend to be really difficult for new painters to not have them just look super chalky or super thick and gunky, or too thin where you can see every color from underneath. So I guess honestly, aside from saying, check the descriptions for all the various links that you should check out. Armor Class 10, the Warzone Eternal for Facebook group, our GoFundMe for medical billing issues, whatever we decide to get in there, you should go check them out. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go and set up the hobby rig and hopefully see you soon.
All right, so here we go. We are at the hobby rig. Oh, wait, it says we're having performance issues. Are we good? No performance issues? All right, I think we're good. Sorry, my computer's over there now. So we are going to be working on Arcee here. The Gen 1 version, not the newer cartoon version. Let's go ahead and get my thing rigged over so you can see that. And this. Yeah, cool. All right, so this is the WizKids model of Arcee in shooty shoot from format, which is pretty awesome. You'll note that her regular paint job is pretty light colors. You know, there's a couple of darker shades of gray, but generally speaking, it's, you know, pink and white with some bright, shiny blue eyes. So what I'm going to do, I've already got her primed. I've already got her primed up for painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, thought I had a really light gray I wanted to start with. So one of the things, so we're going to talk a little bit about painting light colors. Painting light colors can be a pain in the butt, especially if you are painting over a darker color. Darker colors can make it almost impossible to, that's not going to be enough. Let's do a very light gray. Yeah. Darker colors can make doing whatchamacallit, light colors, it's the streaky. If you don't get enough color, if you don't get enough paint on the paint over the thing, you'll be able to see it through, and it'll take multiple coats. And if you don't water down your paint enough, that is all I've got in that color. I need to go buy more. No, the pandemic. The more you have, more coats over the top, coats over coats over coats, you start losing detail, and especially with some types of paint, it can start getting real chalky, and you can start almost seeing like stroke lines actually in the paint itself. So what I'm gonna do is, because this nice gray that I've got here is almost as light as the whites that I want to do, I am actually just going to go ahead and do the whole thing, a secondary coat in this nice light gray. Because when I look at Arcee's, when I get to check out, when I check out Arcee's bod, no, that's silly. When I check out Arcee's chassis, most of her is a light, like a light gray anyway, a light gray or almost even a white. So I should be able to probably get to that tone within one or two coats. The reason why I don't just do straight white, and why I always have some kind of coating underneath it, whether it's oh no, she came off her base. That was unexpected. Oh no. Well, shoot. Okay, you get a quick. This is it. This is a quick lesson in what the heck do we do when this happens. Now, luckily, she's not the model's not broken. She just popped off of her base, and I'm not really going to be painting the base part for quite a while, so I can go ahead and glue her back down and use the accelerant, because the oil part of the accelerant is not going to get in the way of what I'm doing. Because, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Way to go. This would be a blooper reel. That's so crazy. So because I'm going to end up painting that base part later on anyway, I'm going to go ahead and use the accelerant so the glue holds her down fast instantly because I can go back and redo the flock part in that area way later on. It's more important that she stays still than... It's more important that she stays still on her base than it is the flock look good at this point. There you go. So that's what happens. And you'll note that when I was applying the accelerant to the glue, I didn't use the spray. First off, if you ever find one of those accelerant, the super glue accelerant that's an aerosol can, just throw it out the window. Be done with it. Not only is it going to be difficult to use because you can't keep it on the model, it's going to get everywhere all the time. It is also going to throw so much of that into the air that you're going to be breathing it. And I don't know if you know this, but super glue accelerant is poison. It is not good for you. Don't eat it. Don't sit there and huff it. You're not going to get high. You're just going to get sick and probably some kind of weird form of incisor cancer. So the difference is I always buy a pump, and I actually don't even use the pump spray for most things. Because, again, the pump spray, while it's not going to throw a bunch of that accelerant up into the air for you to breathe, it is going to still spray the model pretty much everywhere. And that the accelerant is heavily alcohol-based, and it will it'll evaporate pretty quick. But sometimes it'll leave just enough of a chemical residue behind that paint acts real funny when it gets on it. Whether it doesn't stick or it gets all gummy, certain paints react to that accelerant sort of remnants in different ways. And it is much easier to just take the cap off. Even if you get one of the pump sprays, take the cap off and use the stem of the siphon of the stem, or the stem of the siphon. Use that in a way as like you would like a dipstick. Get a little droplet at the end, and then touch it to the super glue or near the super glue or whatever you need, and you will have way more control over where you put that stuff, and that will end up being very helpful in the future. So there you have it, a little tip, unexpected accelerant tip. But yeah, the big thing is don't ever buy the aerosol. It's terrible. It's garbage. You waste half of it spraying it into the air, and then the other half ends up going all over the rest of your model. So, I say stay away from it. Not worth it. So yeah, I'm going to finish this base coat on her, this light gray, which I'm sure in the camera you guys probably... Oh, I'm not even on camera. What the heck, Brian? I'm pretty sure that on camera it might be even too bright to tell much of a difference between the white and the gray. But let me tell you, it's there. And we will probably leave this gray. I might do one quick dry brush of one of my warmer ivories, just to bring it up a tiny shade, just a little bit, to differentiate from any actual white. Now, there is a color that is used on Arcee, specifically on her hands and her face, that is almost like a white pink. So I'll end up having to mix that using, well, frankly, using white and pink. Until I get that kind of weird sort of rose ivory that her hands and her face are. And it looks like her upper arms are too. Those are upper arms and hands in her face. But yeah, so the reason, aside from wanting to show people that, you know, painting light colors is not as daunting as people might make it seem, but also this is kind of a celebration. Even though these models are probably too big to use with our game, it's a celebration that we announced. Did I get it all? Yeah. That we announced that the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers role-playing system that we're inventing is being designed at the same time as the Transformers and G.I. Joe. We're all kind of on the same team designing these 3 games because they're all using the same system with just a couple of, like, you know, setting-based tweaks, making them effectively compatible. And not even effectively, we're designing them to be compatible. So that is cool news, and I'm hoping that people dig on it as much as I expect them to, especially knowing some of the other Renegade licenses that, or some of the other licenses that Renegade is trying to chase down. I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be a very cool system, not just because I've got a huge hand in designing it, but also I think that it's going to be a fun enough system that people, you know, who are used to D&D or some of the other games out there, when they see how much fun people are having with this system and how comparatively easy it is, that they'll jump at the chance to get involved. So, yay! Hence, painting a Transformer today in hobby time. But yeah, and then what else? What else would be why this is? Because a friend of mine recently was complaining about their quote-unquote inability to paint light colors. And I said, it is not as hard as you think. And they said, ha, try me. And I said, okay, I will. Watch my next show. And so, here we are. Yeah, I just, painting light colors, it helps to have light primer. It helps to always think of your thing being in layers. You know, always do layers. And on top of all of that is, not to point out the obvious, but a light touch will help. Because so now what I'm doing is I had that gray on there, and although a lot of her body is going to end up being here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set this here, because I can look at it upside down. You guys can take a look at her while I'm doing this. Is a lot of her body is going to be light colors, and I can do a nice base of this pearl white. And then in the case of, like, you know, these dark foot straps and the knee vents and this belly area, I can absolutely turn that all into a darker color without really compromising the integrity of the rest of the paint job. Because just doing that little tiny section with a smaller brush and a little more control in the gray is fine, because it's not going to need this giant, dry brush to make it look right. Unlike the white, that if you just throw it on there, it's gonna look weird. Or in the very least, it's gonna look, kind of chalky, kind of thick and globby. And we don't want that. That's the opposite of what we want. we want nice and smooth. We want to be able to see the difference in shade in corners and things, which is also one of the reasons why I do a dry brush here, is because if this was a really wet brush, if it was like just loaded down with paint, it would get into some of those cracks that I'm trying to accentuate, and then you lose the definition. You lose, if you're trying to have the model tell a story, suddenly that story is all jarred up in the middle. So yeah, right now I'm just doing a little pearlescent dry brushing. I can't wait when eventually I get her down to doing her eyes. There is totally, if they could get the license for it, they should. There's one of the Turbo Dork colors is that perfect blue shine. So I'm excited to get that on there. Okay, painting my arms and elbows. And then painting my head. All right. Yeah, so it has been a nice time to be able to finish up some projects here and there. I wish I wouldn't have mailed them out today. I would have shown you. I did a Death Guard Hellbrute, a bunch of Death Guard, and an Infection Lord, and then a kind of a Night Lord's Chaos, or not Night Lords, Iron Warriors Chaos Lord. So some cool stuff. I've been having a good time. Having a good time. All right, let's do the darker of the two pinks. Not because I want to do the pink parts, but because I also want to mix some of that pearl with this to make that kind of rosy skin tone in a couple of places. Now, one of the rules, in my opinion, when dealing with light colors, if you're going to have darker colors, always save those for last. Because the lighter the colors, if I'm doing these arms and stuff, it's going to splatter over into some of these vambraces and maybe onto the shoulder. And I would rather... that's all clogged up. I would much rather... it's still clogged up. I gotta go to the big anti-clog device. I still have to go back over and fix any of those, little mistakes in the model. But here's the deal: if I'm doing light colors, it is easier to fix those typos with a quick of a darker color. So that's why I do what to do. All right, we're going to mix some of this white with some of this pink. See if I can't make a nice, like super light ultra pink for those hands and face. Ooh, it's getting there. Come on. Not quite light enough. That would look funny. Come on, there we go, there we go. All right, here we go. Sorry about the kind of lull in the silence, or lull in the talk. Make sure I had my temperature, or temperature. I had my consistency right. So now we'll do. Go ahead and get the lightest of the light pinks in there. Because that'll be fun when she has to get out in the field and do some Mighty Morphin stuff. Or if I was feeling particularly nasty, I would paint her up to be like a Transformer version of, like, like a Unicron. Or I mean, or of like, so one of the Power Ranger bigwigs will come to life and look like a Decepticon, and it'll be nuts. It'll be nuts. Although I sense more than one time we're going to see what's his face. We're gonna see Transformers fighting against Zords and things when the game actually comes out, and it's gonna be awesome. And I'm gonna look at those and go, I made the rules for this to happen. Ha ha ha. And then somebody will come and buy me a popcorn because the pandemic will be over and I'll be able to take such niceties. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, so God, I wish this, I've gone on TikTok Live a couple of times to do stuff like this, but I've noticed I get very little done. So I'm not really doing the TikTok painting thing anymore. But it is, I will say, there are tempting days where I'm like, I'm going to be painting for a couple hours. I really would love to have some positive support from multiple people and asking each other to leave. So that is that. Okay, it says her hands are still circuitry, so we'll do that. All right. I know I was kind of going silent there for a second, but it's because I was focusing on whether or not I needed to do all of her fingers, or is there a pose where it's going to cut some off? Nope, I got to do them all. I answered my own question. While I had that kind of weird, brief moment of silence where hopefully you guys were entertained in some fashion. I don't know. It's like I always want to have some kind of conversation with, some of the leading minds in medicine, which I would definitely call all of you minus one. Let you guys figure out who's the one. All right. Paintings. But yeah, so I'm excited. Not just for the games to come out, because I do really want our system, its core book, and not just for the paycheck, but I actually want to hear back. This is the kind of project that, now that since I'm attached to it, I'm actually going to follow it to see, frankly, to see whether or not I'm being useful. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm rambling because I'm painting. Yeah, no, I don't know. So I've got I did the rosy pink. I think my pink might be a little too rosy. And I'll probably eventually go back and highlight it with even lighter pink. But for now, I'm going to leave it because it's time for me to move on to the darker gray. That is a blue gray, and I do not want that. I want a darker, like an armor gray. There's an armor gray. And then for that, we're going to do her belly, her little vent thing here. If she has it on this, yep, she does. The vents above her knees, and then those ankle straps, and then parts of her gun. So we'll get all that grayed out. And then once that gray is done, it's basically a matter of figuring out where the pink parts are. Get the base coat of the pink on there. Maybe going ahead and highlighting up the rosy flesh, which should be tons of fun. And then draw the Autobot symbol. That's right, you heard me. Draw the Autobot symbol. All of my other Transformers have hand-painted Decepticon or Autobot logos, and some of them look really good. Some of them a little janky. But that is one of my pet peeves is if you can do it freehand, you should do it freehand. Don't half-ass it. Don't buy artists' pens unless you have to. And I know that it's a little, I hate to use the term, but it's a little gatekeepery. If someone doesn't have the artistic talent to do the freehand, that they should just do the do whatever micro pen or decals or whatever is being used. But there's always going to be that part of me that sees an amazing artist paint-wise resorting to using those pens and stuff. And again, everyone's like, well, it's just another tool. It's true. It is in fact just another tool, but it does not change the fact that I feel that if you are good enough with this tool, you do not need to use those other tools. That you are doing just fine without them. And that is my little mini rant. I don't know. Or a rant about minis. That seems like it should be a podcast. Hell, who knows? It is. It might be. All right. Yeah, I'm so used to going live on TikTok. It's like I want to look over the screen and go, how are you? How are you doing? I'm talking too much. Because, unfortunately, this particular model and the way in which you demanded it, so to speak, God, I don't even know where I was going with that. Man, I am telling you, I did not get enough sleep last night. And now that I'm here under these hot lamps, I am just getting brain fried. I'm telling you, half sentences. This is what sleep debt looks like, guys. I should have slept way better last night, but my silly dog was in the room with me, and our older dogs, our big dogs, are on a super huge dose of basically anti-heartworm chemo right now. They came back positive for heartworms, and they got to take it easy and whatnot, which is fine. Lazy dogs is lazy dogs. I'm fine with that. But what has become another side effect of the meds is horrific, and I mean god awful dog farts. They're terrible. And so last night I was asleep, sound asleep, and at like 3:30 in the morning I woke up and I had this just awful sensation of waking up to basically a field full of dog poo. That was not the case. Luckily, it was not a field full. It wasn't anything full. It was just the fact that my dog was farting so much that my whole room just reeked. It was so awful. It was so bad. And we've discovered that it is because the medicines are cranking up their metabolism rate to burn through some of these worms, but that has in turn caused some very, very nasty breath some nasty, not breath, nasty farts, nasty gastro. And so now wherever our wonderful dog goes, we have to kind of keep in mind that that one could drop a death bomb at any moment. And that's what happened to me. I effectively got myself kicked out of the room I was sleeping in because of a dog fart. Or more likely, a whole bunch of them. Because it was so gross. You guys don't care. Hell, half of you probably aren't even watching this for the paint job. Half of you are probably watching this because you think I'm going to start talking about Warzone. Which I should. No, Warzone's good. Warzone, we're having a good time. Oh, wait. Did I overhear just now? I think I was talking. I thought I overheard from the other room. The opening theme to the Penguin movie. But I don't know what that has to do with anything. It doesn't. Man, I am seriously just sleep deprived and all over the place. You guys are going to watch this and be like, Brian, are you okay? And I'm going to tell you, yes, as soon as I get a nice rest, I will be just fine. But until then, I'm a rambling fool. Yeah, and so when I'm done with this gray, I will set it aside and get another color to be my bestest color until eventually the model is done. That's effectively, in a real watered down nutshell that doesn't talk about any skill whatsoever. That's what we're doing. We're just relocating Cranky Fish. Oh, get off there. Get off of there. Come on, get off. I'm going to have to paint over that. Boo. Alright, cool. So all of her gray parts are done. And then looking a little closer, and it looks like that circuit box in the middle of that gray belly is actually kind of a burgundy red. So let's do that. Let's do that. Swiper, equip swiper. Again, I am all over the place tonight. My brain is just out to lunch. All right. So I got that in place, which will have a couple of defining things on it as well, but that's not the important thing. Gotta clean up that little bit of dribble. Just a little bit. Perfect. All right. So I think now I can probably add a little more white to that pink. Make a little highlight. In theory. I'll go back and highlight her face and stuff. Come on, come on. There we go, there we go. Or should I say, there she blows. Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think I should either. All right, so we are going to highlight the already pink areas to make it more rosy pink, but you can still see like the seams, that sort of thing. Okay. All right. Now do some hand lubing for the tough ride ahead. Okay. All right. All right. I look forward to getting more of these guys, more Transformers. Even if my game that I gave over to Renegade never gets off the ground, it'll just be nice to have, you know, a faction that has no real rules yet, so you can take good advantage of me. But I've been playing this game for a long time, so you can't take advantage of me and leave yourself wide open where you'll be dealt with. Okay. This is fun. I miss the hobby ring. I know that I'm talking nonsense because I'm super tired and you're only getting half thoughts half the time, but it's nice to be making headway on stuff and still, you know, talking to you guys and filling you in on things. It's just good. It's a good all around assassin. Good all around Transformer to work on. Okay. Okay. All right, cool. So there's that. Now the gray should have had time to cure, so I can go back and do just some highlights on gray stuff. So that's cool. But yeah. Trying to think, man. While I'm doing this kind of from dark to light and highlight in between, and there's a lot going on with painting white, but painting lighter colors. But honestly, the secret is thin out your paints a little, and always make sure you're doing nice even coats, because the chunkier that those light colors are, the less of the more of the other parts of that model will look less light, because all of the pigment clumped together with that one. So now I'm going to go in and I am going to add just a few little details. Nothing huge. No weird language that you need to know or anything like that, or summoning me to the devil. It's just, if there's one good thing that some companies do, is they make songs stick in your head. And you'll do anything to get them. And that's kind of what Arcee is about, in my opinion. Ugh. See, we always change. Again, I feel so guilty just sitting here painting when I'm making really good progress, and some of that is because I'm not pausing to talk, every single, 20 minutes. I'm just sort of rambling about this, that, and the other thing. I can't help it. I can't help but wonder what the heck is going on. All right. Oh, kind of muddy field out today. All right. Okay. Awesome. I gotta fix a blemish that I created on the foot. There we go. All right. Next up, light gray on tops of her shoulders, or her little fuel tank thruster. I'm a weird car when I'm not in motion things. I don't know. You're going to get a lot of this. I'm going to get so many comments of, Bryan, you were talking nonsense today. And I'm going to let you know it is because I am exhausted. I need to get some regular sleep tonight, not getting woken up by dog farts, not, having a puppy jump on my face. I just need to have good, solid sleep because I got D&D tomorrow. I got Arcane Promise on Saturday. There's a lot going on in a good way. And I don't want to be a zombie for it. I want to be the very best. No, sorry. Shouldn't do that. It's a quick way to get these videos flagged is use somebody else's music. Okay. All right, cool. Got that gray on there. And now, I dare say, it's time for me to move on to the pink. Like the harsher pink. The pink that I was actually concerned about. Maybe. Now you look like a metallic helmet. Not just white. Like you actually look like your helmet could be metal. I mean, they're all metal. It's a Transformer. But like a metallic color. And I am the kind of person that if I see a metallic color on a model, I am going to jump at the chance to do metallics. And I don't know necessarily why. I've just always had a thing. Todd missed out on saying boner. What? I've always had a thing for metallics. That, and I am utterly horrible at non-metallic paint. The non-metallic metals, I have tried and I've tried and I've tried. I've taken classes and I am god-awful at it. There's just something about the way I look at things. I see the colors that it's supposed to be and I see the colors that it's going to be. I just can't do non-metal metallic. I get so caught up in the moment. I'm just like, there's this giant yellow line on a green blade on a tan thing because when it works, when it works, it looks beautiful. I'm just at it. I'm garbage at it. All right, let's at least get paint on every part of this model So that way I feel like I've gotten something like accomplished for you guys today, because I just saw the time, and if I make these videos too long, my drive that records them chokes. So I have to be careful. All right, let's be careful, he says. So you make sure to get as much pink right on top of her chin as you can. Okay. Everything I see here is pink, so I can do that. Now you'll notice that I actually have been going basically from light to dark, to darker to darker to darker, because I'm going to have some spots that I need to cover up. There is no question. Like I know for a fact, and I want to be able to do that as easy as I can. God, I'm gonna have to listen to this track when I go back and release the video, because I have a sneaking suspicion that my tiredness has made me say some really dumb stuff. And because it's a hobby rig day, I can't, like on a regular day, if I'm having like super tired moments when I'm recording, I can pause the recording and come back to it, like after go to grab a drink, something like that. But the hobby rig is so distinct on how to put together and get it on and get it turned on. I just can't. I can't do it. So here's to hoping that this will be all it takes. Which, who are we kidding? Yeah, I'm just, my brain is all over the place because I've had so much stuff to do, and then now I'm actually painting. I'm getting just like this verbal runoff of just ideas and thoughts and ideas, and I swear listening to this is going to be hilarious afterwards, because I'm not making a whole lot of sense, because you're getting out of the stream of consciousness, Bryan, which is a scary, scary place to be. Yeah, so I'm very happy, with how this is turning out. How, hopefully I showed you guys how to, at least, paint theory on how to do a primarily light model. Because I know when I was kind of just starting painting, and I started painting multiples of the same figure because of like squads and stuff, I would always lean towards the colorful rather than the practical. And while that's fine, there's nothing wrong with having an entire, unit of 60 clan rats look like they bathed in Skittle juice, so long as you are paying attention and doing the steps. An all lighter colored army can really pop. You look at some of GW's Games Workshop's like deep cuts of wizards and some of their monsters. I would never make a huge deal out of that particular monster, because it's just who uses them? No one uses those monsters, that kind of thing. And then you see the model and you go, yeah, I want that, and you better be I want to make sure that I know how to paint it. You guys are probably going to email me and be worried about me because my soundtrack is all over the place. I am just rambling tonight. Too much caffeine? I don't know. But I am definitely rambling. So I apologize for that. I apologize if some of the things that I've been saying don't make a lot of sense. I guarantee somewhere in my head there is a connection point there, and hell, in the comments you should totally try and match some of my weird phrases to what I may have been thinking of. We'll make a game out of it. When Brian's brain is too tired to function properly and he still records because he wants to get you guys a video, let's play bingo. Brian's brain bingo. Yay! So weird. But yeah, so I'm almost actually, almost done with the pink up here. And then I'll do the pink on the arms. And then we'll let that dry. Let that cure all the way, because the next thing is to basically highlight all the pink. And I don't want to do it when it's still wet. I don't want to wet blend it because it'll look weird on these kind of hard angled models. And then it's going to be a matter of just basically doing details like her eyes and her lips and the little like lights on her thing and her Autobot symbol, which is really cool. Okay, so that's silver. So it's top, the elbow, and the forearm. Okay, that's actually pretty easy. All right. So I mentioned earlier, I was talking about my card game that the Cursed Empires guys bought that's going to go to Kickstarter. I know sometime soon, and I think in the next couple of weeks, I'm supposed to get kind of like a pre-production version to show you guys and do like a kind of a Cursed Empires Day and tell you guys all about the game setting and what the game's all about, and show you through the card game, get you psyched about that. So that, I think that'll be fun. I always enjoy talking narrative anyway. Talking about narratives, but talking about narratives that I helped build. Oh hell yeah! I'll absolutely be able to jaw on about that. And that'll probably be in the next couple of weeks. I don't think it'll be next week because I hadn't heard from Chris, the creator, that he got the stuff, that he got the cards printed and everything. And I know that he wants to specifically have me show you guys the new art and stuff for his world. Because I will say this, as some outsider looking in, he took my card game engine and made it pretty. So, it's when I gave him my demo cards, they were like stick figures with Microsoft Paint borders. What he's got now in his little card drive that he showed me, they're gorgeous. He's got some good artists on his staff, or in his stable, if in the case of like freelancers. I don't know whether or not he's using all freelancers or if anybody works for him directly anymore. I don't know. What I do know is that it's a cool world, it's a cool game, and if you don't feel like diving into the role-playing part of things, you can totally do... Oh, can you just keep sliding forward? You guys totally will get to do the card game. I hope. Not just because I made it, but I like it when people play cool games. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Oh, I gotta clean that off. There. Yeah, I'm almost done with the pink, and then I'll probably call that good for the night, because I gotta wait for everything cured before I go in and do all my details and stuff. but it feels nice to be back in the hobby rig, even if I am so exhausted I'm making no sense verbally. I look forward to hopefully being able to, paint some more Warzone figs. I still have the other prototypes. When Alex told me, the guy from Resnova, when he told me that he was getting more prototypes made because these particular ones that we have were not to his they left a few things to be desired. I stopped wanting to paint them because, although that does make them kind of a collector's item, I wanted to wait until I got prototypes that are a little more up to date and real before I waste any of my precious painting time on them. Although the size of their gun makes them almost look more like Imperial Lions than Imperial Blood Berets. But we'll see. Those are Warzone models were always fun to paint. They had a lot of character packed into their tiny little, slightly misshapen bodies with their gigantic weapons. I'm hoping that we do the same. I hope that our stuff comes off just as bitchin' as the original stuff did. I really want, because I know at the end of the day I am already getting paid for my part of this, and if the game fell apart, I would stop getting paid because I'd stop designing stuff. But overall, my part is more or less my part and my risk factor is already done. Some rules tweaks here and there. But Alex has a lot on the line. This is his company. So I'm really hoping that I have a little more of a hands-on help factor when it comes to Warzone Eternal. Not just as, hey, an employee, but because I really do think that game is going to do really, really well when people play it. And when people start to see other people play it at game stores and stuff, I think it's going to do really, really well. And I just want Alex to experience I want it to be a solidly successful game for him. Nice to be the guy that designed it, but more along the lines of, I think that he really putting his neck out on the chopping block and risking it to be able to make his dream. It's totally worth it, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So, all right. Kneecaps almost done. Weird little kneecap folds. But hey, it's Transformers. Everything has a place. And if it doesn't, now I'm a car. All right, so next up, she's bobbling all over the place. Next up on this is what I'll probably do is do a very, very light, watered-down gray wash on the gun, and really the gun only, to help, and maybe her chrome helmet, maybe to pull it down just a little bit, to dull it down some, but I don't know. I gotta do her eyes, her lips, and little numbers on her belly button thing. But other than that, she's pretty dang close to being done already. These models are relatively easy to put together, or it's relatively easy to put some paint on. This one particular begs for it. All right, so let's get back to here. Like I said, I know I was rambling. It's late. You can tell, it's dark in the studio, aside from all of our lights. I know I was rambling. I apologize for any weird, half sentences and half thoughts while I was painting. That happens to me all the time when I'm tired. But I do hope you enjoyed watching little Arcee come to life. at least a little bit, and let's get this packed up and back over to the other thing to say, bye for the session. Thanks for sticking with me so far.
So there we have it. I know I didn't get finished with her, but that was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. I know I don't get over in the hobby rig nearly as often enough as I want to. Maybe eventually I'll just get a permanent setup over there so I can just flip flop whenever I feel like it. But there we have it. Another week in the life of a professional nerd. Super psyched to we got some games going on this weekend. In fact, we actually have. I know it's been a long time. The players have been nagging me. We are finally getting our next chapter of the Arcane Promise, our Spelljammer 5e game with the industry folk. I'm excited to get that back underway. Hopefully, maybe a little more, steadily so. And I'm really excited about this weekend's session. They get to meet potentially a character that could go either way, as being an ally or a very, very nasty villain. So, yeah, awesome. So, you know what I'll be doing. I'm going to be having a great time, and I'm going to be playing some role-playing games, and probably some video games. So what I want out of you guys is to stay safe, wear a mask if you go outside, but make sure that you are out there having a good time and play some games. We'll see you next week.